Hey, good morning. Joe here. It's Firearms Friday at Larry's on North Memorial Parkway. I thought we'd come across a really interesting firearm here at Larry's because, we buy collections here at Larry's all the time. So I thought we'd talk to Warren, who's our chief gunsmith here. Let him talk to us today about a really unusual antique gun from the late 1800s. This is a Winchester Low Wall. So, Warren, tell us about this gun.
So there's the Winchester Low Wall and the Winchester High Wall, and they are the smaller and larger versions of the very first collaboration between Winchester and John Browning. It was the original gun that Browning introduced, or not introduced, but designed back in the 1870s. And the story goes, he was a gunsmith working for his father at Browning and Sons, and he was so disgusted by continually having to repair the rifles of the time and complained about it so often and had said, I could build a better gun than these guys. And his dad said, well, I wish you'd get to it and stop complaining. And so they produced the rifle for a few years, but of course they're a very small outfit. And it came across the attention of Winchester in the early 1880s, and they were so impressed with the gun that they bought it from him for, I think, like $8,000, which was a huge sum of money back then, and went on improving it a little bit because, of course, they were a major manufacturer, so they had access to better tooling than he did. But that began the collaboration between Browning and Winchester that lasted up until his death. And it's an incredibly strong rifle. It is an incredibly lightweight rifle compared to the competitors of the time, the Sharps, the Rolling Blocks, the Creedmoors. They used what at that time was state-of-the-art machining techniques to lighten the receiver in non-stress areas so that they could have more steel in stressed areas. This is a .22 short U.S. military training rifle from the early 20th century. And I have shot this gun, 100 years later. It's a one-hole tack driver, and it's just a really neat example of one of probably the most consequential rifles out of the 19th century, because Browning's inclusion in the Winchester design process helped them become dominant and stay dominant for decades.
So really interesting firearm, and again, Warren shot this earlier, and it just was putting bullets right in the same hole one after another.
And I have middle-aged eyes. So.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about low wall versus high wall.
Well, that refers to the actual shape of the receiver back here. The high wall is just a more massive action for larger cartridges. So 22 short and a high wall would be kind of absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, this is borderline absurd, but they were.
So the high wall would be like for a 30 caliber or something like that.
Yes, the 30-06s, 30-40 Craigs on up through 45-70, and even some of the bigger cartridges by special order.
Right. So very fine gun here. I hope you enjoyed looking at this antique firearm here today. I want to thank Warren for coming in and sharing this with us today. Warren is our senior gunsmith and knows all this kind of stuff, and obviously you can tell from the way he talks, he knows what he's talking about. So really good to have him with us here today. Now, if you know somebody or if you have collectible firearms like that and it's time for you to let them go, remember, we're always buying these kinds of guns here at Larry's. So if you have this kind of thing in your family and you decide you don't want to keep it, don't just take whatever you can get for it off of eBay, okay? Don't do that. Go ahead and bring it in. Talk to us here at Larry's and let us see about making you a serious offer on quality firearms that are antiques like this. All right, that's it for this Friday here at Larry's. We want you to stay armed and stay safe. Bye-bye.